Do we have a change at the top of the NL East? Can the Tigers stay hot in St. Louis and no watch in San Francisco? Welcome to MLB Game Night. Every game, every night.
When that final out is made, you know it's time for Locked On MLB Game Night. All the post-game reactions to every game across the league, every single night, with insights only the hosts at Locked On can provide. Prepare to experience game day reactions like never before. Only on Locked On MLB Game Night. Your team every day.
All right, baseball fans. J.D. Hafron, host of Locked On Cardinals. Jon Frisch, host of Locked On Angels. Welcome to MLB Game Night, every game, every night. John, we're going to start in Colorado? Like, okay, something's got to be going on here. Obviously, there is, or we wouldn't be going there because we know how bad the Rockies have been.
Thought the Rocky Mountains would be a little rockier than this.
Yeah. That John Denver was full. Okay, we're not. The Phillies swept the Pirates over the weekend and entered Monday just a half game back of the Mets in the NL East. Rockies, they enter Monday with a wonderful record of 8-38. I know we shouldn't be kicking them while they're down. They're a minus 144 run differential, which is just bad. It's really, really bad. So what we want to do here is kick it over to Connor from Locked On Phillies with his thoughts on this particular game in Colorado.
The Phillies take down the Colorado Rockies 9-3, 17 hits for the offense. So it was a nice, easy game, right? Well, not exactly. I'm Connor Thomas, your host of Locked On Phillies. And no, the Phillies trailed 3-2 in the eighth inning in this one. And just, I don't know what happened with the bats, but they woke the heck up against the Colorado Rockies bullpen. The Phils haven't really hit the Rockies starters well so far this year. Seen them once before and swept them early on in the season, but it's all come against the bullpen. Tonight was no different. Alec Boehm, a huge home run. Trey Turner, a big double. And then, well, they just unleashed. Sosa goes yard. Kyle Schwarber hits his 300s. And all of a sudden, a 3-2 game turns into a 9-3 victory. And oh, by the way, wait, the Mets lost tonight? Really? To the Red Sox? So that means, let me do a little math. The Phillies are in first place in the NL East? Darn right they are. We're going to talk about your first place fighting Phils on tomorrow's episode of Locked On Phillies.
All right. Paul from Locked On Rockies. When you hear this, you literally, John, can hear the pain in his voice.
That's right.
After this particular game.
The Colorado Rockies had a late lead against the Phillies after a great start from Kyle Freeland and some early offense, and finally a test for one of the few bright spots of the 2025 Colorado Rockies, the bullpen. Unfortunately, it all falls apart, including another untimely error as the Rockies collapse and they lose 7-3. It's just another chapter in the story of the 2025 Colorado Rockies. Again, easily a game they had a chance to win. Had the momentum, had opportunities, couldn't get the job done. When you play teams above 500, when you play great teams, when you play playoff teams, you have to play good baseball for 9 innings, and the Rockies have struggled to do that in 2025. I'm Paul Holden, breaking it all down on Locked On Rockies.
So another loss for the Rockies, another victory for the Phillies. Big news in this one, John, was Kyle Schwarber's 300th career home run. Shore bombs, as they are known throughout the league. He's set to be a free agent at the end of this season, and we just had a comment, actually. Who do we got here? Bam Man 100? Yeah, all right. As a Phillies fan, Kyle Schwarber's like a fine wine. Just gets better with age. But will he be a Philly in the future is the real question. Phillies are not, some cheap franchise that doesn't pay top dollar for their guys. But any chance in your mind, John, that he could leave Philly if they don't win a World Series this year? Does he go, you know what, let me go try somewhere else instead?
Yeah, I don't know. You'd have to look around the league and see where he would be a good fit, especially, I love this comment from Bam Man 100. He ages like a fine wine, but eventually, that wine turns sour as you get older and older and older. And so you really got to look around the league and see where he fits in, especially if it's a playoff contender somewhere else. But if you're the Phillies and you're the front office, you want to keep this together as long as you can, because yes, you've made it to the playoffs, but they've got to get to the World Series and win one, especially
tick,
with this.
Right?
Yeah, the clock is ticking on this Phillies team. Absolutely.
Moving on to another team in the NL East, the New York Mets taking on the Boston Red Sox in Boston. Mets dropped the Subway Series to the Yankees in the Bronx over rivalry weekend. There's a lot of heat on Juan Soto right now. Hasn't hit a home run since May 9th. Doesn't have an RBI since May 12th. Now they're playing the Yankees' true rival, John, in the Boston Red Sox. Entering Monday, the Sox in second place in the AL East. But the Yankees are the only team with a winning record in that division. Mets are the only team left in MLB that hasn't lost 3 in a row. Let's kick it over to Chris of Locked On Mets with his take on the Mets' struggles recently.
Another night and the same old for the New York Mets offensively as they fall to the Red Sox 3-1. Chris Schwarber, host of the Mets Postcast on the Locked On Mets YouTube channel, breaking down another bad night for the Mets offensively. They went from 3 hits yesterday against the Yankees. They got 8 tonight against the Red Sox, but it is the timely hitting that they don't have. The 5th, 6th, and 7th innings, they leave guys on base. 6 guys left on base in total, 1 for 8 with runners in scoring position. Offensively, everything is a slog, and they're just not playing crisp baseball right now. Alonso and Soto both hit balls off the green monster, don't necessarily have the best hustle, and they're unable to end up on second base. Some bad defensive plays. Pete Alonso again with a weird play in the field. It's just not clean, sound, fundamental baseball for the New York Mets. They're pressing. Everything feels difficult right now, and until their offense turns around, this is going to be the story of the 2025 New York Mets.
Yeah, that's a lot of talk online right now about the lack of hustle from Juan Soto. Is he not showing energy that they expect him to, considering the big contract? Let's go to the Red Sox side of things. Gabby from Locked On Red Sox, her thoughts on this game, and she's got something to say about Hunter Dobbins.
The Boston Red Sox need to keep Hunter Dobbins in the starting rotation. I'm Gabby from Locked On Red Sox, where the Red Sox just defeated the Mets 3-1 tonight, and Hunter Dobbins was a huge story of the game as he continues to just dominate and show so much poise on the mound when he is out there. He came up temporarily due to injury, but I think the Red Sox would have it be in their best interest if they keep him up and keep him in the rotation regardless when players start returning to the rotation anyway. Another great outing from him, had really good command of the strike zone and had a good variety of pitches that he threw. So I'm a huge fan of Dobbins. I think he 100% makes the Red Sox rotation better. Hopefully they can continue to win games and get on the right track. Tune into Locked On Red Sox for more.
All right. So, John, I want you to look into your crystal ball, which I'm pretty sure you own one. We're going to look into this real quick. And Mets or Phillies, who are you taking to win this thing when it's all said and done? Because the Phillies have now taken over the Mets in the NL East. What do you think?
Yeah, they got first place. But you know what? I think if you let the season play out, I'm going to buy the Mets more just because of who they have in their rotation and the ones coming back to the rotation. Sean Manaea, Frankie Montas, you got Paul Blackburn. Phillies haven't gotten a lot out of Aaron Nola, who's one of the anchors on their rotation, but he's also on the IL right now. And they got to solve their closer situation now with Jose Alvarado suspended, and he's not going to be able to play in the playoffs. So it's going to be something interesting to watch as the Phillies navigate that closer situation. Do they make a trade? Do they go out and sign somebody? Do they get somebody off the scrap heap? It feels like it's got to be a trade with a team that, is under 500. Maybe they want Kenley Jansen from the Angels. Maybe they'll make a little deal with the Anaheim Angels there. So we'll see what happens there. But again, I think I buy the Mets more in terms of just the arms that they have working their way back to the rotation.
Yeah, one thing about the Phillies is they've got a decent amount of arms that are starting rotation capable to trade away when they get everybody healthy. So maybe that's something they swap out. So I don't know. Maybe you and Connor need to start talking a little bit, John.
Let's make a deal. That's right. I love it.
Coming up on MLB Game Night, Cubs are trying to hang on in the NL Central. They are down in Miami tonight. So we're going to get you what happened in that game coming up next on MLB Game Night. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track, and that is where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Now, Monarch Money, it's not just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center, and you can track all your accounts, your investments, and your spending, and you're going to do it all in one place, so you can stop actually managing the money and then start building wealth. This is what you want eventually down the road, right? And I know it's convenient and easy, but you may not realize how much money you actually spend when you're getting deliveries all the time, whether it's food, whether it's just items for the house. And now you can budget smarter and save more. And instead of juggling multiple apps, you just use Monarch Money to check your finances, track your spending, and even plan long-term goals. And if you're married, it does take managing money with your partner to the next level. Makes it so much more smoother for you. That way you can track shared and personal accounts. You can set goals together and stay on the same page, and you can do it without the stress. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code Locked On MLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code Locked On MLB for half off your first year. Once again, thank you for joining us here on MLB Game Night, and it's time to talk about a game that happened in Miami. All right, we are going to go on down where the Cubs are visiting the Marlins. The Marlins, we know, have had some exciting wins so far this season. Two teams that just won their respective series over the weekend, with the Cubs sweeping the White Sox to remain in first in the NL Central, while the Marlins were able to take 2 of 3 from the Rays. These two teams actually just met recently, John. Met in Chicago a week ago, and now they collide in Miami. Let's check in with Jeremiah from Locked On Marlins. Got to be excited about this one.
Pure joy. The Marlins walk off the Cubs in the bottom of the 9th. It's Jeremiah Geiger from Locked On Marlins. That was an absolute classic of a game. It was back and forth. The Marlins jumped to an early lead. The Cubs came right back. And it was 7-6 heading into the bottom of the 9th, and 2 quick outs. The Cubs had a reliever, Palencia. He's throwing 101 miles an hour, strikes out Norby. Liam Hicks gets out, and they're down to their final out. Derek Hill comes to the plate, rips a double to right field. Okay, now I'm locked in a little bit. All right, there's a runner on second, 2 outs, down by 1. Maybe we can tie it up. And then Javier Sanoja draws a walk. He doesn't chase, pitches at the bottom of the zone. And then Jesus Sanchez. What a game from GZ tonight. He had 3 hits, hit a homer, and then rips a double down the right field line. I jump up. I'm yelling, let's go. Marlins walk it off. Let's go, baby. Check out Locked On Marlins for more.
I wonder if he had a little F-bomb in the middle of there. It's hard not to when you get – walk-offs are so exciting, man, and you got to feel good for a Marlins team, a young Marlins team not expected to do much this year, and to get a walk-off against a team like the Cubs who's been playing so well. Let's go ahead and hear from Sam Olber at Locked On Cubs as he questions some of the decision-making that was made in the 9th inning of this one.
A miserable loss in Miami tonight. No bones about it. The Cubs get walked off with nobody on, 2 outs, and an 0-2 count to a hitter that had struck out almost 40% of the time. I'm Sam Olber from Locked On Cubs, and I just sat and stared for a while after this one. Cubs get walked off 8-7. I have no idea what the whole bullpen situation was. Did Daniel Palencia earn this opportunity? Was Porter Hodge injured, or was something going on with him? Daniel Palencia had been really good, but in his career, he's proven time and time again these high-leverage situations, the highest of high leverage, weren't for him. He was cruising along, and then the second he hung a pitch to Darius Hill, where he doubled it to right center field, this game felt like it was going to be in trouble, and that's exactly what happened. A 4-pitch walk foul to the 9-hitter, and then a really good fastball hitter, Jesus Sanchez, hit a fastball really hard and walked off the Cubs down the right field line. Just not the type of game that's acceptable to lose. There was a lot going on in this game. Cubs did a heck of a job to come back, but when you have nobody on, 2 outs, an 0-2 count, up a run in the 9th, you got to finish that ball game. The Cubs continue to have a lot of holes. Ben Brown, the starting pitching is one of them, and late inning relief in tight games continues to just really be a bugaboo for this team. And the Cubs got to figure out who their 9th inning guy is.
Yeah, it's a big question going on in Chicago right now, John. Why, oh, why do they not have like a single dude to close out games right now? Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, my question is it because Ryan Presley was supposed to be the closer? Now he's started out that way, and then I know he had that big 8-run blow up, and they've been turning to Porter Hodge to close out some games as well. But don't get me wrong. I'm sorry, I'm trying to remember the Palencia. He's got closer stuff. The dude throws 100 miles an hour, so it's not as if he was a bad option here. But as Sam said, he's proven in the past that he just doesn't have that clutch gene, and he didn't know what to do with 2 outs, and he wasn't able to finish the job. So for them to not go to Porter Hodge, who hasn't pitched since Saturday, I'm not sure why he was missing in action in this one, but it just doesn't seem like the Cubs have made their decision on who's closing games for them, especially because I think they came into the season going, oh yeah, Presley, yeah, he's the guy. And then they got cold feet when it came to him.
No, I don't know. You got Sam's number 2. Maybe he needs to get on the horn with the Angels as well. Kenley Jansen, he is here. He is
9
available.
for 9, baby.
Well, one of the reasons why Chicago's fan base right now might be a little sad is because right on their heels right now are my St. Louis Cardinals. The Detroit Tigers were at Busch Stadium in St. Louis tonight. Cardinals and Tigers have been 2 of the hottest teams in the league recently. Detroit, first team to get to 30 wins over the weekend, best record in baseball. They did a bullpen game today, which sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Right.
It did not work in this one, John. The Cardinals were able to pound the Tigers 11-4. Sonny Gray, who got crushed by the Phillies his last time out. We all saw that game against Aaron Nola where both of them just got hammered. He ends up firing 6 shutout innings. He strikes out 10, which is a season high. Cardinals offense scores 11 runs on 16 hits. 6 different players had multiple hits. Brendan Donovan, 3 for 5, 13 for his last 23. That's a .565 batting average. Cardinals are 17-6 since April 25th. Best record in the National League. Their starters have been incredible. They've allowed 2 or fewer runs in 11 of their last 12 games. The one game they didn't was that game against the Phillies, which they ended up winning anyway, despite Sonny getting hammered. Yeah. The Cardinals were not expected to be contenders, John, yet here they are playing as well as anyone in the league. Looking at this team, do you feel like it's sustainable?
Well, you just said it. The starters allowing 2 or fewer runs in 11 of their last 12 games, and then still winning that game where Sonny Gray got blown up. The rotation has been what the Cards have needed for the last 2 years. And you guys had a couple of stopgaps with Lance Lynn and Kyle Gibson. And, you had to give Waino his goodbye season in 2023. Now you have Miles Michaelis performing well. Now you have Liberatore in the rotation full time this year. I think you've solved the pitching conundrum that the Cards have had the last 2 years. And again, it felt like a little bit of a stopgap in 2024 after realizing in 2023, like, oh shoot, we need pitching. But some of these guys have arrived. So as long as the pitching holds up in the starting rotation, I mean, I turn it back to you. If you believe in this starting rotation, I think I could see them having a lot of sustained success.
Yeah, health has been key to them too. They haven't anybody go down yet, which is something that, eventually it normally happens to somebody. No, not very many teams make it through with the same 5 or 6 guys the whole season. Right. So far, so good, though. I don't want to jinx it.
Yeah.
Your Angels were at the A's tonight. Angels just swept the Dodgers over the weekend for the first time since 2010. John, I know you had to celebrate that one. While the A's got swept in the battle, I guess the Battle of the Bay?
Yeah, can we call it that still?
But what went down in this one? Angels, A's, take the floor, my friend.
Yeah, so they ended up at Sutter Health Park, the A's AAA, or the AAA stadium the A's are currently playing in. It's their first visit there. Just the second time that the Angels have won 4 in a row this season. They started out the year by taking 2 from the White Sox and 2 from your St. Louis Cardinals. This is just the second time they've won 4 in a row. My big question coming into the series was, after they swept the Dodgers, are they going to continue to play a good brand of baseball? Well, 13 Ks and no walks in this game is the kind of bad at-bats approaches they've had all season long, but fortunately they were able to hang on for a 4-3 win. Taylor Ward hits his 7th home run in the last 12 games. He's on a tear right now. Nolan Schanuel homered in the first. All 3 of his hits tonight were for extra base hits. And the A's bullpen, I know Booney has said that they've been a bugaboo for this team. They were able to keep the Angels from adding on to that early 4-3 lead. So that was the way it shook out toward the end of the game. And then, of course, my guy, Kenley Jansen, came in, got the save, and he made me a little nervous with a fly ball to the warning track, but Joe Adell was there waiting for it. But again, I'm happy the Angels have won 4 in a row. Hopefully they can sustain that good brand of baseball that they've been playing that really began against the Padres. I know they lost 2 of 3 to the Padres, but it did kind of begin there where it was like, you're working counts, you're taking walks, you're doing things better. This is a bad example tonight, but I also think that they were able to, win despite themselves, and that's a good thing.
What do you think's been the biggest key for the Angels in this 4-game stretch right now? What's been your favorite part about, this winning streak?
They've stopped swinging for the fences. Everybody's trying to play hero ball. Everybody's trying to hit one out. And sure, there were some home runs in this one, but it doesn't seem like everybody was trying to do that. It feels like everybody had the same approach for so long when the Angels were losing. I mean, imagine, your top 4 is Zach Neto and Nolan Schanuel and Yohan Moncada and Taylor Ward. But everybody 1 through 4 looks like Jorge Soler and Jorge Soler and Jorge Soler and Jorge Soler. Like everybody looked the same for so long. So between that and some decision-making from Ron Washington in terms of bullpen management, that's where the Halos had gone wrong. They've not gotten in their own way in these last 4 games. And so I'm hopeful that they can continue this momentum. They got 3 more up in Sacramento against the A's, so it'll be interesting how this one turns out.
There's a phrase that Brant Brown, who's the hitting coordinator for the Cardinals, has been using this year that's really caught on, and that's been there's a time to slug and then there's a time to hit. And it kind of sounds like that's something that they're doing. They're like, all right, maybe we just need to get a job done and quit trying to, hit it 450 feet. All right, well, the team that you guys swept just this weekend was also in action tonight. Big NL West battle that we're going to be talking about next on MLB Game Night. We'll let you know how that went down at Chavez Ravine. Diamondbacks at the Dodgers. Dodgers swept over the weekend by who again, John? Who was that?
I believe it was my Anaheim Angels, not Los Angeles Angels.
Okay.
Anaheim. I think, did they break the Dodgers? I'm starting to worry about them.
Possibly. The Diamondbacks took 2 out of 3 from the Rockies, which isn't saying much considering how bad Colorado's had it. But the D-backs entered Monday 4 games back of the first-place Dodgers and the NL West. We know how good the NL West is right now. And when 4-game set against the Dodgers that started tonight, we got Vince from Locked On Dodgers with the results from L.A.
The opener didn't get help. The starter struggled. And the Dodgers lost for the 4th time in a row. This is Vince from Locked On Dodgers. And the Diamondbacks came to town. It was more of the same for the Dodgers. After getting swept by the Angels, a 4th straight loss. It was bad pitching, not enough offense. 5 runs should be enough for this team to win a lot, but not in the state that the pitching staff is right now. So it's a little tough. The Dodgers had a little rough go of it on offense as well. They didn't have any swings and misses against D-back starter Brandon Pfaadt. They had a lot of expected batting average high, a lot of actual batting average low, and ultimately the Dodgers rally in the 9th, came up short. We're going to talk about openers. We're going to talk about starters. We're going to talk about the Dodgers offense. We're going to talk about Mookie Betts, maybe getting his power stroke back. We're going to get into all that on Locked On Dodgers, where we get podcasts, and on YouTube.
Yeah, Mookie went yard twice tonight. Ohtani hit another one, but still another loss for the Dodgers.
As the Diamondbacks win 9-5, are you making a Tungsten Armo Doyle joke right now, JD? Is that what's happening?
I'm not worried about the Dodgers.
No.
That's an awesome lineup, and it's an awesome pitching staff when it's healthy, but there are some concerns with what's going on. I mean, you're seeing some of the guys they're putting out there on the mound to start games, and you're like, who the hell is this guy?
Yeah,
and it is not working out so well. All the money in the world can't keep you healthy when it comes to this game we call baseball. Moving on to the Mariners at the White Sox. Mariners swept the Padres over the weekend up in Seattle. Mariners-Padres World Series matchup. Perhaps that's something that could be on the docket at some point.
I'd watch that.
Seattle gets a chance to pad their first place lead in the AL West versus a White Sox team who has dropped their last 4 games entering Monday. We got Todd from Locked On White Sox with some thoughts on this one and manager Will Venable's decision-making.
Maybe manager Will Venable might want to reconsider Cam Boozer being the team's closer, because all he did tonight was slam the door shut on the team's chances of winning. Hello, I'm Todd Welter, host of Locked On White Sox, and the White Sox lost to the Mariners 5-1. And this is a defeat where maybe you can question Venable for pulling Davis Martin, who was absolutely dealing on the mound. However, Martin pitched into the 8th inning for the first time in his career, and he was at 92 pitches. Boozer came in with a man on first and somehow made things worse by loading up the bases, and on a night where the wind was blowing in, he somehow still managed to serve up a grand slam pitch to Jose Rodriguez, and just like that, the White Sox went from being down 1-0 to losing 5 straight. Boozer once again struggling in tight games makes you wonder why the team thinks he should be trusted to be a closer, as the television broadcast said he was officially given that designation. I mean, the guy just cannot pitch in high leverage situations. But at least the Sox offense managed to show up in the 9th to avoid a shutout, and I'll have more on tomorrow's episode of Locked On White Sox.
Julio Rodriguez, the grand slam, his 8th home run, 25 ribbies. Andres Munoz, 15 saves, still has a 0 ERA.
Uh-oh.
Yes, he's still very, very good.
Yeah, you're not gonna hear the end of that one, are you?
No, not until Munoz actually gives up a run. I'm just gonna get buried by Seattle fans who were all over me for saying that Munoz, in my opinion, was not the best closer in baseball. This was a week or 2 ago, and he's still unbelievable. It hasn't given up a run, so exactly. I continue to stand corrected when it comes to that particular hill. Reds and Pirates. The Reds ended up sweeping the Guardians over the weekend, playing some really good baseball. Pirates are not good. Here's Jeff Carr from Locked On Reds and what he saw in Pittsburgh from his Redlegs.
Now, that is exactly what we're talking about. When we're talking about the Reds playing against a team that they should beat, that's how they should play. The way that they just beat the Pirates 7-1 by doing everything right. All facets of the game, they were doing fantastic, and that's what we're talking about. What's up? This is Jeff Carr from the Locked On Reds podcast. Nick Lodolo was awesome. The bullpen that really didn't have anybody from the A squad available was awesome. And the lineup did everything it needed to do. Constant, timely hits. It wasn't all one big inning that they just held on for dear life to. It was a lot of runs here, there, and everywhere. And then they added on late in the game against the Pirates bullpen. And the fielding, oh my gosh, the fielding looked really good. That was a complete performance and exactly what you should do against a team like the Pirates. Now the Reds need to do what they should do against the Pirates and win the series tomorrow.
They were able to beat Mitch Keller in this one, who, like most Pirates starters, actually have not been that bad so far this year. Unfortunately, the team as a whole has not been good, and you're starting to see the cracks, John. You're starting to sense the frustration from their star pitcher, Paul Skeens, as he starts to do some more interviews. If you're the Pirates and you could get a haul for, say something similar to what the Nationals got for Juan Soto, they've rebuilt their entire franchise off that trade. Would you pull the trigger knowing you're as far away as you are right now from actually being a playoff team?
It really depends on how they feel about their farm system and if they're able to surround Paul Skeens with some talented players. But look, they're going to hear this narrative. Pirates fans are going to hear this narrative forever and ever and ever. Trust me, I know it as an Angels fan who had Mike Trout on his team. The difference is Mike Trout entered the Angels in a period of time where they were coming out of a stretch of being a really good ball club. Pirates haven't been good for a while. And so they get this diamond in the rough in Paul Skeens, and he's just electric on the mound. But I feel like it's going to have to be decision time. Either they, trade for the future, or they look to see who they have for the future in their system and see if that's going to be any good for this Pirates team.
Yeah, with ownership not willing to spend, it's like if you don't do it through your organization and you do it through building up your prospects, there's no other way to do it. You're just going to be bad all the time. Exactly. You're not going to go out and spend money if you can't develop guys. Royals at Giants. Now, the Royals have hit a little bit of a skid right now. They've gone 4-6 in their last 10 games. They lost 2 of 3 over the weekend to the Cardinals. Giants continue to play great ball. They sit just one game back of first in the NL West entering Monday. And we had a no watch in this one, John. One of my favorite names in Major League Baseball right now, Chris Bubich, took a no into the 6th inning. And how did it end? Because you're the one who actually told me about it.
Yeah, so there was an error at second that the San Francisco scorekeeper changed to a hit for the Giants. So I thought that was interesting. Neither here nor there, because Vinny Pasquantino homered in the 8th to break up the scoreless game. Final score 3-1 with the Royals taking this one in the Bay Area.
Yeah, Vinny the Pasquatch. Have you seen that at the Royals games where they have somebody dressed as a Sasquatch out in the outfield waiting for him to hit a home run? It's pretty darn good. Astros at Rays. Astros split a 4-game set over the weekend with the Rangers. No one has really ran away with this AL West yet. No. Meanwhile, the Rays are trying to keep pace with the other sub-500 teams in the AL East, the Red Sox and the Blue Jays. We got Brett from Locked On Astros sharing with us why Houston's ceiling is on the rise.
Well, the Houston Astros have won back-to-back games on the road. It might be the first time we're seeing that and a new trend. Hello, I'm H-Town Wellhouse here with Locked On Astros. What a solid game from Colton Gordon. Came out and pitched great today. The Astros win 4-3, powered by Jake Myers. Jeremy Pena went 3 for 4. Paredes was 2 for 4. Altuve was dropped to the 3-hole for the first time since I can remember, but Caratini with the home run, Myers 2 for 3, and Smith 2 for 4, and McCormick even got a hit and a hit by pitch. The Astros put 11 hits on the board, only 4 runs, but they didn't need more because the bullpen shut things down after Gordon gave up the 3 runs. Brian King, Brian Abreu, and Josh Hader did the job. They come back tomorrow for a second of a 3-game set versus the Rays. The Astros are trending upward, folks, and people are starting to hit. And this is without Yordan Alvarez. Stay tuned in to Locked On Astros. We're your team every day.
Orioles at Brewers. Brewers were the ones to snap the Twins' big winning streak recently, but they've dropped their last 3 series. So, meanwhile, the Orioles have been a disaster so far this year. Dropped 6 in a row coming into Monday's game. They just fired their manager, Brandon Hyde. We got Connor Newcomb from Locked On Orioles, who is in disbelief about how this one ended.
The Orioles actually had a serious chance to win on Monday, and yet they wasted it away once again. Hi, everybody. Connor Newcomb here, host of the Locked On Orioles podcast. And for the Orioles, it was their 7th consecutive loss. They are 0-3 under interim manager Tony Mansolino after firing Brandon Hyde. And the decision made by Mansolino in the top of the 9th inning, I am in disbelief. To try and bunt after a leadoff walk from Cedric Mullins when he was about to easily steal second base off of Trevor McGill, who lets everybody steal, and Mullins steals a bunch of bases. If you're going to bunt, fine. Let him get to second first and then lay it down. Instead, Dylan Carlson pops up a bunt. The Orioles lose 5-4. Brandon Hyde made some rough decisions. He never made one that bad. It's only getting worse in Baltimore, and we'll talk about it on Tuesday's episode of the Locked On Orioles podcast.
Yeah, ugly things in Baltimore right now, John. And it's weird because this is a team that over the last couple of years looked like they were the ones who were going to start taking over things in the AL East. And now they have bottomed out and things are just getting worse and worse, it seems, by the day. Final game of the night, Guardians at Twins. This one actually got postponed at 2-1. Right. Twins were in the lead at the top of the 4th. They're going to resume at 6:10 Eastern time on Tuesday. The Twins win streak came to an end on Sunday at 13, but they're right in it now, second place in the AL Central, entering Monday after the Guardians got swept in Cincinnati by the Reds. So tight race in the AL Central. A lot of good games tonight, a lot of exciting action, and again, that game's going to resume tomorrow. So thank you once again for being a part of MLB Game Night. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We hope you guys will all come back and visit us next time on MLB Game Night. Every game, every night.